Hello, and welcome back to A Better World. This is your host, Mitchell J. Rabin, and we're very glad you're joining us again today. Today we're going to have another very interesting show. We have with us Meredith Young Sowers, who is the director of the Still Point Institute in Walpole, New Hampshire. Meredith has been on the path, the spiritual path and the healing path for well over 20 years. She has a very interesting story of her own development and what has happened to her in her own revelations of what this life is really about, where the meaning is, so to speak, and what love is. She'll be speaking with us about that and her own journey and the work that she is doing. She's worked extensively, by the way, with Carolyn Mace and others in the early years, and has developed her own style, which is attracting people actually all over the world. Hello.
Hi, how are you? Nice to be
Very
here.
good. A pleasure to have you.
Oh, and you too.
Yeah,
Thank
good
you.
to have you in our place.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, what is it, if you would just go back, Meredith, to tell a little bit of the story of how your own healing journey began, and then we'll go into some of what you're doing today.
Well, 20 years ago, I had an experience that began all of this. And this was at the beginning when people really didn't talk much about being in touch with God. You know, for years and years, our whole history, we've wanted to have a direct relationship with God. And yet in our culture, you know, we talk to people.
Cases.
That's right. We don't believe that we can have a relationship directly with God. And so through a series of very wonderful and scary beginnings of beginning a simple meditation practice. You know, we all start to meditate and then we don't really expect anything to happen. You know, we're just going through the motions and we think, well, that'll be nice, maybe something will appear.
Right.
But the thing that I've learned is that God is real, and God is a very personal and powerful, loving presence in our lives. And so in the beginning, I had this experience that I was taken out of my life. You know, we hear about near-death experiences, we hear about people being drawn into the light. Well, this wasn't a near-death experience, but it was leaving the world that I saw and being drawn into...
The world that you knew.
Around me, saw every day, and drawn into a world where what I saw was God is love. It was like this beautiful mist coming off the lake. Everywhere I looked, I saw this sense of God as the verb, not the noun, not the sense of some force sitting outside of ourselves. The power to love, the power to heal. And I knew that this was what my work was about, to understand love, not just as a sentiment, not just as, but God is love, meaning if God was going to show up on your couch, God is a friend, God is a mentor and a helper. God saying, let me help you, let me love you through this problem. What would we want? We'd want that.
Is it that you understand God to be like an intelligence beyond all human intelligence, and that intelligence expresses itself as love? Yes.
The thing that I've discovered in the healing model, that from that first encounter with God, and from that a most amazing relationship with an angel, a way of learning in meditation, being taught about all of these new realms of energy and energy inside of us and how we're put together and how we can get strong and healthy and how we get sick. But understanding that there's two parts of understanding God that really help us heal. One is God as a collective view. In other words, I need to, if I'm going to heal, I have to understand God as a way for me to fit into a safe picture. God's a picture. God's the bigger picture. And if I have a safe relationship in my life, I feel like God's taking care of me, or that when I look at a sunset, I can imagine that there's a bigger plan, even if I can't control it and don't understand it, I'm safe. That helps us actually heal our nervous system. And a personal relationship with God, God on our couch, God as your friend and mentor, really oversees our endocrine system. So think of all the women taking thyroid medication and taking endocrine supplements, and that from this very early experience of understanding God, not just out there in the bigger picture, but God in our hearts, inside of us.
Not impersonal only, but personal.
Exactly. And as long as we say, if a client says to me, well, I believe in God, when I say, well, what's your spiritual beliefs? I believe in God. And I say, do you believe that God, in a personal sense, inside of you, is linked to that powerful force? Because if they don't believe that, they can't heal, they can't change.